Hey there, Alex here. This is the OnePlus 8T, a new affordable flagship device from OnePlus that replaces the OnePlus 8 but not the higher-end 8 Pro. I decided to call it an affordable flagship instead of a premium mid-ranger because after spending some time with it, it feels more like a flagship device to me. In typical OnePlus fashion, the hardware is great. It's really well built, and this aquamarine color option that I have here looks really nice. Even though it's a glossy finish for this color, it doesn't really attract much fingerprint, probably thanks to an oleophobic coating. But I still feel like the centered camera bump on its predecessor looks a little cleaner. The buttons feel really nice and clicky, and of course, we still have the alert slider here, which is super convenient. Haptics are not the best I've used, but it's good enough and doesn't feel cheap. The front of the phone is where you'll find one of the biggest upgrades to the 8T, the screen. I'm not talking about the 120Hz display, which is nice to have for sure. To me, it's this flat display. So when watching media content, I don't have to see that off-axis dimming at the edges that comes with curved displays. Even though it's only Full HD+, it's still a really nice looking screen. It gets bright enough outdoors, and I don't see any uneven tint on this unit. The fingerprint sensor under the screen works great as well, and is fast and accurate. It comes with good sounding stereo speakers as well. Bass is not the strongest, but it is able to get really loud, and it has good clarity and fullness in the mids. So the 8T is an excellent device when it comes to media consumption. Since this is a more budget-friendly device, there is no official IP rating or wireless charging, but we do get something that you can't even get on the OnePlus 8 Pro, 65-watt fast charging. In my own test, I was able to get from 0 to 100% in under 40 minutes using the included charger and cable. Even when using a third-party cable that was rated at 60 watt, it only took under 50 minutes. Personally, I don't really like using fast charging much because of battery health, but it is still nice to have that option in case I need it. Thankfully, the battery life on the OnePlus 8T is good enough that I almost never have to rely on fast charging. Most of the time, I'm getting 1.5 days of use out of the phone, and even with heavier usage, a full day of use is still easily achievable. I also kept track of the battery drain while using the phone, and I'll leave the information here so you can pause the video if you want to take a closer look. By the way, this is with 120Hz turned on for the display. In terms of performance, it's great as expected from a OnePlus device with top-of-the-line chipset. Apps launches quickly and everything feels really smooth thanks to the higher refresh rate. The phone doesn't really get too warm while gaming as well, so no complaints from me here. The OnePlus 8T is running the new OxygenOS 11 based on Android 11, and it's actually quite interesting. OnePlus is injecting a tiny bit more of their own design elements into the UI, and it's nice. It is still extremely customizable with the ability to change a ton of stuff, from things like the ambient display, accent color, icon pack, the layout of the home screen, and even individual app icons. I also kinda dig the progress bar that they are using. One of the more notable changes is that they are starting to use a larger header so that things are easier to reach one-handed. But I feel like it's still a little half-baked compared to something like Samsung's One UI. In the Settings app, for example, I can pull the options down on the main page, but that doesn't work once I go into any sub-menus. Also, because OnePlus uses quite a few Google default apps instead of making their own, they can't apply these UI elements to those apps, and even their own file manager in particular hasn't been updated with the new design, so there is a bit of inconsistency here. Anyway, I think this is just the first step for them, and I fully expect that they will have a more fleshed out version of their UI in time to come. Other than that, it still has a bunch of very useful extra features, unlike the barebones experience on Pixel phones. I can take a long screenshot, hide more sensitive apps, run 2 instances of apps like WhatsApp at the same time, lock apps for another layer of security, make it a little easier to read on the phone with reading mode, and use a gesture to change the track, which is a convenient feature to have when I'm jogging. It's probably a bug, but I noticed that even with the music control toggle turned off, that feature still works. Anyway, aside from a few very minor complaints, the overall software experience is great. Samsung probably still has a more polished UI overall, but they do bundle a lot of their own services into the software, something that OnePlus isn't doing yet. So in case you were wondering, this is why I think that OxygenOS is one of the nicest Android experiences around. Finally, let's talk about camera performance. This is where OnePlus devices usually falter, and it's no different here. Both the front and main rear camera sensors have been around for quite some time now, and performance is more or less around the same as well. It's good enough in most situations, but nothing really outstanding, and it can struggle a little with moving subjects. The macro camera is a little better this time round and a bit more usable, but the monochrome sensor doesn't seem to be doing much. Anyway, I'll have a link in the video description with everything I took with the phone, so you can see for yourself whether it's good enough for your needs. In terms of pricing, the 128GB version is going for $899 here in Singapore, and you can get a bit more RAM and double the storage for $200 more. It's not the most mind-blowing deal, but it's not too bad either, considering they do come with a 2-year local warranty. Not to mention, some of these shopping platforms do offer promotions and coupons every now and then. So overall, I think it's still good value for money. It's pretty much what I would expect from OnePlus. It has good hardware, great performance, and excellent software experience. Just that this time round, it has a higher screen refresh rate as well as faster charging. So if those are the things that you are looking for in a phone and you are not too fussy about camera performance, I think the OnePlus 8T is a pretty great option. Thanks for watching this video, and see you guys on the next one.